Are you listening?
Breakthrough media. Truth always wins out in the end because it outlives falsehood.
Shh. I'm trying to listen.
Yes, that's a different conversation. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. There's an issue when it comes to violence. Black on black crime, or it's crime. White people kill white people, tend to kill white people. Black people tend to kill black people.
Not in the numbers.
That's fine, but that's a different conversation.
I don't care who white people are killing.
That is a different conversation than police brutality, and we're not having that conversation right now. And again, I want to be very clear with you. I condemn all violence of any type, just for the record.
Was the situation between Mike Brown and Darren Wilson, was that police brutality?
No, but that's a different conversation.
But we're not talking about Mike Brown and Darren Wilson.
I am.
No, if you're asking me what the Justice Department showed, the Justice Department showed that it exonerated Officer Darren Wilson, and that the hands up, don't shoot narrative was a false narrative. That has been reported by CNN and by others.
That was another phony report.
What does that have to do with Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
All right, because
let's talk about something else. That's a different conversation.
Because when you take in
what does that have to do with Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
Rates of involvement in violent crime, and crime in general, but violent crime, you're going to see that black males are overrepresented. Overrepresented in terms of being involved in violent crime. That's going to mean more arrests. That's going to mean more people going to prison. This stuff has already been debunked.
So in other words, what he's trying to say is that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation.
Every time you don't have a response to something I say, you say it's a different conversation.
I don't have a response to you. Is that we're having two different conversations. I'm asking the questions here. You're answering the questions by asking questions about some other subject that we're not discussing.
We're talking about this hateful ideology called Black Lives Matter. You said you're not a member. You can't be a member. It's not an organization. There's no structure.
That's what you're talking about.
Listen, I
understand it's a very stressful time for you.
These individuals.
And Sheriff, we appreciate you coming on.
They preach vile and vitriol in the name of virtue.
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate it.
Next!
Were the wildfires started by Antifa?
In this issue of the Crusader, the communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn.
There's been 3 million acres burned. 3 million. That's more land area than both the states of Rhode Island and Delaware combined. That's more land area than 35 whole countries. It's mind-boggling.
The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next.
Check this out.
This is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop, and they should not.
These people are tearing up our lives.
Third straight night, Portland police declared a riot.
The vast majority of the protest has been peaceful.
Over the weekend, 59 officers injured and 47 people arrested.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing a proposal to cut $1 billion from the New York City Police Department.
We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
Won't be safe in Joe Biden's America.
Robert Williams says this: a few years of violent, sporadic, and highly destructive uprisings will set the stage for the grand finale. After the stage is properly set through protracted struggle, America could be brought to her knees in 90 days of highly organized, fierce fighting, sabotage, and massive firestorm.
Red alert. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. A Marxist youth bloody revolution has been initiated. our undercover just recorded Sunrise Movement's announcement of a nationwide 100-day siege on the eve of the Bohemian Grove Cremation of Care ritual, changing their Sunrise logo into the wide awake, all-seeing eye. They claim to be finishing the work of Reconstructionism, purposefully kicking off a continuation of the American Civil War.
This is really the moment that this broken system could all come crumbling down, but it's up to us to take action and make it happen. We have to bring the crisis to their doorsteps. And we're going to mobilize outside the homes of politicians in the middle of the night to wake them up. That's right, y'all. No justice, no sleep. And this isn't just your regular protest. This is a daily haunting to make it clear that our generation is a force to be reckoned with when it comes to the revolution in the streets and at the ballot box.
My dream is that we bring these failed and corrupt institutions to their knees and we build something new. I love the term siege because I feel like that's exactly what we're going to do. And I'll encourage you to go read the Wikipedia page for what a siege is, because have that expectation. We need to tell the world that we're not taking this bull anymore, that they will see us, they will feel us, and they will hear us until they are deaf with our demands. Rome was not built in a day, and it was also not sieged in a day. In fact, it was sieged over the course of 1 year and 9 days, which was a fact I learned today. Every single day from now until the election is a day we're preparing for ballot time battle and the post-election eruption of our pent-up anger. That means showing up to houses of politicians everywhere who have failed us.
So for the next 100 days, we will haunt these architects of the death economy. We will march into their homes. We will march into their homes. We will march into their homes and make it plain and simple for them.
They are using an example of a pro-abolitionist group from the 1860s called the Wide Awakes. If you go back and read about the tactics used by the Wide Awakes, they were a group that would use hammers to smash windows, break stuff, and beat people. On election day, Wide Awakes monitored voting lines, challenged suspicious voters, and checked to see that ballots were genuine before they were cast. A nationwide campaign of harassment, violence, and intimidation is now underway. The Sunrise Movement, March for Our Lives, United We Dream, and Black Lives Matter are the main groups organizing this uprising. You saw what they did to the cities. Well, now they're planning to target American citizens at their homes. Quote, "We need to prepare for the new terrain. Cops enforcing domestic property disturbances more aggressively than police office sit-ins, and brutality by federal officers in cities across the country. They plan to use children on the front lines, forcing law enforcement to engage with minors. Youthful rioters will aggressively go to prominent outspoken conservatives and politicians' homes to, quote, show them who really has the power. The mission is to disrupt their private life and well-being by shouting, bullhorning, and banging to keep them in a state of continued anxiety."
You're outside your home?
Remember, this is the same group of people that said burning down buildings is a legitimate form of protest. Well, do they feel the same about burning down homes?
Actions like burning buildings are legitimate and powerful forms of resistance.
So we should expect the same thing that's been happening in Portland to start happening now on the doorsteps of prominent conservatives and Republicans.
Now, I have heard from police in Oregon that at least some of the current fires are suspected to have been set by Antifa. Now, if Antifa is doing this, I desperately hope the FBI or local police can prove it, because this is going way, way, way too far. And this is totally within the game plan of Antifa. It makes total sense for them to do this. But let's talk about that later. For right now, let's assess the damage.
The biggest of those fires is burning across California, Oregon, and Washington. Hundreds of thousands of acres have so far been razed, and extreme heat and high winds continue to fuel the fires to near uncontrollable levels.
The fires have killed 15 people, destroyed entire towns, hundreds of people's homes, and who knows how much ecological damage has been done.
The communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn.
Now, this is incredibly personal to me. Oregon is arguably the worst hit state currently, and one of the fires was moving directly towards my parents' house just the other day, as well as the houses of many of my other relatives. Thankfully, the fire did not reach our properties, but it was quite a scare. The sky over the town was red, totally red, just like you've probably seen in the images coming out of San Francisco. Now, my family got lucky, but consider all of the hundreds of families who were not so lucky. This 1-year-old boy, Uriel Hyland, he was killed by the fires. This entire thing is just tragic. Now, why do people think that this is Antifa? What is the evidence? One of the fires in California was reportedly started by a gender reveal gone wrong. We've all heard about that. But here's the thing. That's only one of 200 fires across 9 states. And that is the only cause that the media is reporting about. There have been 48 fires in Oregon alone. And all of this is being blamed on a gender reveal party? That's the only cause that's being reported? Of course, Trevor Noah, the political activist that hosts The Daily Show and claims to be a comedian, took the opportunity to criticize gender reveals as outdated.
Like, given everything we're learning about gender reveal parties should only happen when the child is old enough to know their actual gender and to pitch in some cash for the fire damage.
And of course, the loony left are taking this opportunity to create more climate change hysteria.
Extreme heat and high winds continue to fuel the fires to near uncontrollable levels caused by climate change.
Barack Obama tweeted, "The fires across the West Coast are just the latest examples of the very real ways our changing climate is changing our communities. Protecting our planet is on the ballot. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does." If you don't vote for Biden, you'll die. Little overly dramatic there. Barry. Greta Thunberg also tweeted about this, of course, also blaming climate change. She wrote, "Reporting is not enough. Connecting the dots is not enough. Mentioning the link to the climate crisis is not enough, even though it would kind of help. If we are to have a small chance, this needs to be our main focus. This needs to dominate the news all the time." Yes, that's what we need to do, Greta Thunberg. We need to report about climate change hysteria every minute of every day. But here's the thing. The problem of wildfires may be directly due to radical environmentalists. We know for certain that it is, at least in part, indirectly due to radical environmentalists. But there's actually been rumors in Washington state that these fires are being set deliberately by radical environmentalists in order to create the appearance of devastation through climate change and therefore create hysteria and affect political legislation to deal with it. If that's true, that's a scandal of epic proportions, maybe second only to the Russiagate scandal. But what's even crazier about it is just how much forest has been destroyed in the past few days. If this is environmentalists doing this, they are creating a lot of environmental damage in order to protect the environment. But no one ever said leftists were sane. So let's get into the Antifa thing. Many on the left are downplaying this, calling it fake news, etc. But here's the thing. I've heard from police officers in Oregon. I've heard that this is, in fact, true. Many officers in Oregon are convinced that these fires are intentionally being set by Antifa. Of course, Snopes says it's absolutely false. But here's what's weird about that. How the hell do they know? There was one story in Medford about Antifa activists that were arrested for setting fires that was disputed by the police there. Okay, so they're saying that that's fake news, right? But that's one story, one incident. People are talking about incidents all over. You don't know that it's false. It should be rated unproven or unclear or not enough information or something like that. But to say false, I mean, you have to be pretty damn sure that it's not true. But they don't know. If it is Antifa starting those fires, it makes sense that they'd put out false information to discredit anybody claiming they were behind the fires. There's all these rumors that it's Antifa. People have some evidence here and there. So Antifa throws out some misinformation, right? They throw out some fake news so that people don't know what to believe. And then somebody like Snopes falls for it because they're complete morons. I mean, nobody takes Snopes seriously anyway these days. But to make a claim so definitively, to make a claim that could not possibly be definitive. That suggests to me that there is some strong motivation, some strong intention behind that. I mean, the media is definitely trying to steer people away from the Antifa story. I wouldn't be surprised if the writer of that Snopes article was in fact a member of Antifa themselves. Now, so far, I've been able to find stories of at least 7 incidents of arson which could have led to at least some of the wildfires that we've seen ravaging the western states. But there are countless stories of people seeing arsonists setting fires, especially along what we call the I-5 corridor, which is the main interstate that runs through Washington, Oregon, and California.
Scott has, as you guys know, has been up on the Will Hoyt fire, and there's a hayfield right across the street from our driveway, and there's right before Markham Circle, and he noticed out in the hayfield there's some big round bales, and one of them has a smiley face on it. I'm sure if you live out there, you know what I'm talking about. And he noticed 2 guys in gas masks out there, and they're trying to set the freaking field on fire, the hay bale on fire, the big bale. I know there was a sighting of 2 guys in gas masks last night up on Sawtell trying to start a fire, which somebody then said was false. I'm here to tell you that that is actually happening. Scott watched them trying to start a fire on that round bale across from our driveway on Highway 213.
It appeared as though the power pole that fell down had been cut. Not something that we see very often, not something we see at all.
Someone had actually cut through a power pole with a chainsaw, leaving it dangling from high voltage wires overhead near a substation in the middle of a neighborhood.
The amount of current they're carrying, very dangerous.
This doesn't appear to be the work of a random vandal.
The determination that was shown, first being successful one day and then coming back and trying 4 more, that speaks to me to be more than just kids vandalizing.
What could possibly be the motivation behind this in your mind?
Yeah, that's being explored. We don't know yet. It could be someone with a grudge. It could be something else.
So is this Antifa? There are 5 reasons why people seem to be suspecting Antifa. Number 1, this guy. This is Jeffrey Accord. Jeff is a strong Antifa and Black Lives Matter activist. He's been arrested before in Ferguson, and he was arrested on September 9th, just a couple of days ago, for starting a fire in Washington state. He shot a video of himself, and he claims that he was the one who called in the fire, but police believe that he actually set the fire.
I'm out here in 167 right now. Looks like a fire literally just started. I just rolled up on it, and right now it looks like it's going crazy.
Number 2, Antifa and Black Lives Matter activists are arsonists. They've been setting fires in Portland every night for months. I mean, of course the media wants to dismiss this, but no sensible person can dismiss this possibility. Hell, they chant, "Burn it down."
Burn it down! Burn it down! Burn it down!
Number 3, the sheer number of arsons going on at the moment suggests an organized effort.
The communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn. The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. Robert Williams says this: a few years of violent, sporadic, and highly destructive uprisings will set the stage for the grand finale. After the stage is properly set through protracted struggle, America could be brought to her knees in 90 days of highly organized, fierce fighting, sabotage, and massive firestorm.
Have you ever felt? Oh my God, this just keeps getting worse.
Breakthrough Media.